you're spreading the variance across a best of 5, so that allows you to play a little bit looser if you want to. So we could see even more chaotic sort of shenanigans from both sides, or we might see, I mean, it really depends. We're going to find out as we see these two teams clash against one another exactly what sort of mentality they're bringing into the game right now. But in terms of version 1, they're a team here that have a huge statement to make. If they're able to take down Sentinels, if they're able to, let's say, dominate Sentinels, that will send a great statement forward for anybody who was doubting them in any sense, and their run so far. So it's there's a lot of interesting storylines going into this one. And to start things off with Bind, this is an interesting map to kick things off with. I have no idea who to actually favor, because I feel like version 1 has been smashing all expectations, and it does feel like the sky's the limit right now for them.
It certainly does. And if there are any of you out there who are still sleeping, who still doubt what V1 has done, what they're doing, look, man, if you haven't caught on to it now, this series might be what shows you that they're in fact never done, and they're not going away. As you said, I think there's honestly a bit of benefit to that for V1 too, is in that they can play loose, right? Like, what do you got to lose, right? If nothing else, expectations are all against you. That pressure's gone. It's like, yeah, let's shock the world a little bit, right?
Well, I mean, already, interestingly, we're having Dapper playing Viper, right? So he's only in the last 30 days picked Viper twice. So I'm really curious about, exactly how that's going to shape up in terms of this first matchup.
And we got Yoru! We got Yoru, baby! We got Yoru!
Oh Surely my god, we'd be trolled.
yeah, like this isn't a bug. I'm like frantically checking production right now. Is this a bug? Is this a mistake? Or do we actually have Yoru? It's not a mistake. It's been confirmed. Ooh, baby. Dan, it's gonna be good.
This is so interesting. And again, you're checking stats. Vanity definitely doesn't have any matches where he is opened up with a Yoru. There's no precedent statistically in the last 30 days, or even last 60 days. Even the last 90 days. Any of the days you select will not reveal a Vanity pick, or rather a Yoru pick for Vanity. So that's going to be interesting as well. Obviously, there's lots of really cool setups you can do with Yoru and his signature TP. So we talked about letting loose. We talked about having some fun. I have no idea what this series has for us right now, but it's already shaping up to be quite interesting.
And you know what it does have? We may not know exactly what it's going to look like, but we know we're in for a good time. Grand Finals, the best in North America on the line. Sentinels up against version 1. Sentinels, as you see, are going to be starting off on attack, going to work their way towards B, at least initially, see what they can find.
Yeah, I like the initial pressure coming through from Sentinels towards the B site. You want to have, force the pop of the toxic screen straight away, get rid of that fuel. And teams will often have this situation where it's like, you don't want to push that, because of course you're going to take that 50 decay straight away, and you're so softened up. But you do need to pressure it away at least. And they're just going to go through with this, Doug, and keep it simple. And sometimes that is the best approach.
Full send, baby, as 3 members of V1 have already dropped onto the site. Vanity and Zelsis both going to show up a little late. Zelsis was cooking up something on the flank while Vanity actually took his gate crash shortly after the hit started on the site. So he found himself on the opposite side of the map, not really able to engage into anything early on. See if he can do anything with that flash. No, he's going to drop. Zelsis left alone. So I think one of the things I want to keep an eye on, Dan, is we talk about Viper utility, right? And the pressure that's placed on the map and how teams often play around that and the mind games that are there. I think the fun thing, in my opinion, about Yoru, which is why I'm excited to see him get a little bit more love, is in a lot of ways, that's the same approach, right? Like, is the gate crash going to get taken, or is it not? Are the pop flashes going to have anything following up behind it or not? There's so much mind games that can be played with that agent's kit.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there's definitely a lot of exciting possibilities. Valorant is a game where, people might follow certain trends and metas, but really there is no objective best way to play in any sense, even though you might see what looks strong right now in the meta, as we see this anti-eco coming forth from Sentinels. Dapper's going to be able to make light work of a couple players, and with that, it should be pretty easy to close down the round from here. But just want to, again, send home this point. one of the most exciting reasons we want to see this international tournaments, because this isn't a game like Counter-Strike where you have these dominant regions where they're able to kind of get the best practice, grinding the fundamentals, and really improving what everybody knows to be sort of the best way to play the game at this point. Instead, you have the ability to create a lot of surprises with lots of different gimmicks, if you will, as well as just creating really interesting compositions which allow you to do lots of different things in the mid round, or maybe it's about playing for the lane, playing for the late round, and there's lots of different ways to take map control and lots of different ways to, for example, we've got no smoke setups or like heavy flat. There's just so many different ways to go, right? So it's all about how well-rounded you are in dealing with all this crazy menagerie of things you might be up against. So into the first buy rounds, of course it's going to be a bonus for Sentinels. We'll have to see what they're able to do with these Spectres.
You see the two fake steps went through teleport early on to give the illusion that there's play happening, there's pressure happening around right outside of Hookah, but they're going to pull off. You still have the two remaining members of V1 who are playing on A. See if they can cook anything up. Vanity and Whippy both there. Going to back up off a little bit, and you see the remaining members of Version 1 have already arrived, but Sentinels have gotten onto the site. And 10's in a great... Oh, no. Oh, no. He got one, but he got traded right back out. Both teams, excuse me, have dropped a couple of members here early on as the spike has been planted. There's so much Viper utility to play around. I mean, it's just nestled in there safely, and V1 have to push through that just to get access on anything. The gate crashes there. Penny swings out for one. Vanity looking for a bit more, as it seems like V1 have been able to take the site back seemingly effortless. Man, that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was a really nice retake, and it's one of those things too where if you're unable to hold on to these key positions, such as like U-Haul, like that's a really big one. We saw those positions traded out fairly quickly. Things can start to crumble pretty quick on this defensive side. And you can see Pens is trying to get in there to try to backstab that, but ultimately Version 1 in winning this U-Haul control, you can see that the two players that remain are so spread apart between Showers and Short, they can't help each other. So it gives a huge advantage to the retaking players, because they are able to play off of each other so much more effectively. But that was the bonus rounds, so all things considered, makes sense. And we get to see already some of the use of that Yuri utility gate crash at the back of the site, able to get that info aggressively short B, and then can TP back to way after getting that info. So some good early shenanigans from to see what we all expect from Yoru.
Love me some shenanigans. Whippy losing the initial gun battle as he drops. We mentioned Vanity took the teleport along with the fake out. He's going to walk his way all the way around into a flank. Now the Viper's Pit has gone down, but V1 have already taken care of the majority of what Sentinels brought to the fight. Dapper and Shazam, the two remaining members who are playing in the Viper's Pit right now. Spike hasn't been playing yet. Now Dapper's starting to get this down. Shazam playing close. You see some of Effie's using some of that utility to try to get some information into what's happening in the pit. Oh, Shazam's gonna get cleaned up. It's just Dapper, and Dapper's so weak, he has to play outside of it. So you're about to see this Viper's Pit go down. They have no idea where Dapper is here. The footsteps. Effie's gonna get it, might be able to get it to half. All right, got it to half, but he drops. Again, his position has been given away here in a 2v1. Effie's is gonna stick it. Zelstis is gonna get the third on the round. V1 tie us up at 2 apiece.
Scary stuff there. Dapper really in an interesting position. I love the use of the poison orb, and just trying to buy time. And the Viper's Pit it feels like there's so much gambling happening when you're around that pit because of the lack of vision. We saw Shazam looking for a moment to kind of just find the right timing, maybe hearing some footsteps to just swing out and just catch somebody off guard. It's obviously, can go well for you sometimes, and sometimes it's just the timing won't work out. And that's going to be the equalizing situation. Now, to a piece Version 1. Looking pretty good right now. We get a Viper's Pit coming in from them on that B site. And the question is, will this deter Sentinels? Sentinels should still try to pressure Hookah trying to clear out this position, because you don't want to have the defenders have the information as to whether you've left any players there. That's a pretty key factor. And at the same time, like, there's this mind game of, okay, the Viper's pit's there. Will the defenders rotate off of B, expecting us as the attackers to go back to A? So Sentinels are playing the mind games here, and it looks like they want to commit into this. But the mind games, speaking of which, Version1 also have that read. They're gambling that they're going to do just that. So this might be absolutely ridiculous what we're about to see.
It's like we're on an old episode of a Nickelodeon show with slime covering really every single screen that we've seen. Now, Sick does have the showstopper, and sure enough, Sick dashes his way in. Nope, he's gonna go. Okay, he got one. He did get traded out, but V1 continue to hold fast. Shazam and Dapper have both already dropped. Vanity in a good spot. Takes a dimensional drift at just the right time, and he's gonna get away for free, just narrowly avoiding death as V1 hold on to the site, clean up Sentinels to take the lead.
Yeah, and again, it's just the mind games. It's so interesting because Sentinels, you know, the longer they wait there, they have to be worrying that Version1 might be getting info by pushing A. But Version1 actually expected that Sentinels would just say, you know what, we think that you think that we're going to do this, so we're going to. So, you know, it's like one of those situations. So it's an interesting precedent to set. So I'm curious next time the Viper's pick goes down, what the 50-50 is going to be, because it does get to that point where it's a kind of a coin flip as to what the defenders and the attackers are going to do. But it's down to the sheriffs here, and Sentinels looking to try to group up short, but this is never easy. You know, you're walking into so much util. They want to try to force at least a couple kills, keep the economy honest for Version1, but it's not looking like that's gonna happen right now because they can't even really get finished. He's found a couple excellent frags, and that's hey man, 2 kills in a round like that, I think they're happy.
Almost got a third. I mean, Vanity was just down to 5 health. Yeah, I think you're right overall. To hurt some of that financial footing that Version1 had, you kind of take that as a win. But that said, V1 do have a 2-round lead here. And one of the things that I want to keep an eye on is, so well, we'll see if it plays out. That gate, or the fake out going through teleporter into front hookah, is not just to draw attention. It's not just to draw eyes. Oftentimes you'll see that as a counter to the Roomba that's looking to establish control in hookah.
Standing ahead.
Yeah, it's a great way to be active as the defenders in a way that's quite safe as well. Because the attackers more to worry about. And we might get a showers control play here. So the operator will deal with the drone, and usually after that, you know, you have to fall back, you have to reload, and during that time the attackers could move into forward position. So you play it safe, you fall back into the next spot, which is back triple as far as Vanity is concerned. And you can see the pace has slowed down massively here for Sentinels. They got that showers control. The question now at the 1 minute mark for Version1 is, should we make an information play or not? And Sentinels, if they keep playing very, very slowly, they might be able to catch that if that were to be the case for Version1. But Version1 happy to sit in this 2-for-3 setup at the moment, which I think is a good call this early in the game when you don't have a good read on the tendencies of Sentinels just yet. And Sentinels are just going to group up for that B-long 3-man split with the 2 players coming through hookah. And there's the backside recon to try to get some info.
Oh, there's info for you, Whippy. Taking it from the shadows back into the belly of the beast, understanding exactly where the remaining members of Sentinels are. Sick is already dropped. Here comes the showstopper, not going to get a chance at anything as Penny gets cleaned up before he gets a chance to bring that online. Viper Spit going to join the fold as well, as it's just ultimate after ultimate in this round. Sentinels have gotten onto the site. The spike is not down yet. Vanity's in a great spot, Dan. They don't have elbow control. That just makes the retake attempt so much more powerful, so much more potent, because they can apply pressure from so many different angles.
Yeah, getting in right now is going to be very difficult. Oh, that's an easy one for Tens. Vanity can't afford to miss a shot like that. And now Sentinels just have an insurmountable advantage here, holding this site. And Zelsis is really all he can do to try to get some extra economic damage in here. But what a great round from Sentinels. I don't want to, count Zelsis out, but it really does look impossible. And he'll move through and get taken down. And one thing to note here is that Sentinels just showed Version1 an extremely slow round. So what that does is it actually makes Version1 less likely to want to play for mid-round information. Because if Sentinels are playing really slow and you try to play for information, you try to push a short, you try to push showers or something like that, they might just be waiting for you, and they'll just trap you. So it discourages mid-round information plays from version 1. Having a slow pace like that. So we'll see how that impacts some of these future rounds as we go into another buy versus buy, and it's looking like Sentinels will default again, getting showers control, and then working from there.
Slightly different flavor of a default here from Sentinels, as it looks like now it's not just a drone that's taking aggressive positioning across showers, it's actually Tens who's taking some of that forward positioning. But I mean, they really haven't. It's been touch and go so far. I like the Viper utility, right? You see that wall coming up across A, and that was very similar to what we've seen the last couple of rounds. They've played around that a lot. And here it is again. This is almost identical to what we saw in the previous round. Like, the utility goes up as they're rotating away, and it's just enough to make them guess, make them think about whether or not A is actually the hit.
Yeah, the toxic screen there that gets placed on that A side as well. There's some points that are important about what that does, but we'll go into that in a moment, because we do have a take coming through onto Hookah. More forward position from Penny, but looks like Sentinels are more than ready for this, and they're going to take these early engagements happily, as it doesn't seem like version 1 have all that much to do. They unfortunately did not find the engagements in the way that they needed to. And look at Zelsus, he's just trapped. He's going to get spammed down, and then there's only 2 left after that. So you know, you highlighted it, Doug. This round was pretty much identical as far as what Sentinels were doing was concerned. And version 1, they tried to play it slow again, and it just didn't work out. They tried to play it passively, didn't work out. So the next thing that normally you do in this situation, if you're in version 1's position, is you try to take some aggression somewhere at the early timing of the round, based off of what Sentinels are doing. Now, if you are Sentinels and your caller's really on point, what you do is you think, they're going to make an adaptation. These are the adaptations that make sense specifically against what we're doing. So that narrows down what you're expecting as Sentinels. And so you can throw something at version 1 where you're like, okay, we think they're going to do a huge showers play, which means most of their players will be committed showers at the start of the round. So if we heavily push, let's say, the B side of the map and you switch it up in that moment, we're going to get a free site. You know, stuff like this, that's the kind of level that the in-game leaders are starting to think about after you have this early round conditioning for a few rounds. So this is a huge round insofar as the conditioning. I didn't even get time to talk about Toxic Screen, but maybe later, Doug.
Well, and look, we know World Clash Shazam has this reputation for doing homework on teams and being really one of the best IGLs North America has to offer. So at least initially, V1 not stacking heavily, very similar setup, right? You see the fake out going through the teleporter. Not going to be clearing out room, but as you see, Sick hasn't actually used that. I know we're dialing in on something so small, but it's so common to see that bot be used to establish hookah control, and that makes B so much more difficult to deal with. But understanding that fake out's on the other side, he has not invested that. Now it comes out.
And this toxic screen as well. This toxic screen is really problematic because it allows, if you do lurker player into showers, it creates a spot where the line of sight is cut, so you can't just play 2 players as comfortably on the A site, because someone could just lurk out showers if you're worrying too much about short, or vice versa. If you worry too much about the shower side, then you can't as effectively defend the short side, and people could lurk up short. So it creates a huge argument that you kind of want to keep 3 players towards A, which is why we've largely seen that in all of the gun rounds, actually, from version 1's defense. But here comes the push.
They have to. Cosmic Divide comes out. You hear the 100 Fury coming out from Effie's as well, who's still playing back on the site, causing some havoc, cleaning up members of Sentinels as Shazam drops. Whippy looking to snap. The spike goes down as well. That's big. 25 seconds left. Sentinels have to reestablish control of the site and get the spike. They've managed to do at this point, but again, Whippy's in a great spot to blow things up. He's on the flank. Oh, excuse me, it was Zelsis. Zelsis good for 1. Whippy gets the last one, the 3rd on the round. V1 takes the lead again.
Yeah, excellent hold there from version 1. I mean, that's great stuff. You know, you want to see stuff like this from them. You know, they're not in the best of positions, ultimately speaking, on the weaponry and otherwise, but you know what? These are great players hitting their shots, showing that they can do a lot with just the fundamentals, and they're fighting back. So version 1, you know, going again against this default now as Sentinels, so it will surely come through again. As I say that, though, we actually have, it's going to look like the default. We're going to get the recon dart towards showers position, but we're not going to see tens lurking through showers to take control behind the recon as he has been. Instead, they've mixed it up. They're putting 4 players towards B here, so it's just not the same route. It looks like the same opening as far as V1 are concerned, but it's not. And interestingly, Version 1 seem to have blindly understood that this is the case, and they have a 4-man stack to defend B.
Showstopper coming in from Sick. Love that, waiting for the leer before he blasts his way across, clearing that corner, not going to land, looking for a little something onto Whippy, gets it. 12 health left. He patiently waits for his team to show up, join the party. Zoms is still pretty far off the site, as now the couple of the remaining members of Version 1 are starting to rotate around. Celsius is on the flank as Vanity showing up as well. You can tell Zom's just kind of waiting for it, understanding there's likely a chance that they push in. But the thing is, Dan, they're pinched here. They're stuck. They've got to commit to B. They're going to have to fight their way through what Vanity and the rest of Version 1 have brought to the fold. As Vanity takes the gate crash out.
30 seconds left. Spike planted.
Oh, Celsius.
No charges left.
Celsius in a great spot, good for one, but the clock continues to tick away. They know where Dapper is as Vanity creeps his way forward. Dapper spotting one. That should be the call. But for one, Zom's left alone. In a 1v2, Vanity tap. Trying to bait that out. Zoms has great info over where they are. He might be able to isolate the gunfights. If he isolates the gunfights, he can win the 1v2, make that a 1v1, and Zoms wins it for Sentinels. A clutch round to tie us up at 5.
Ooh, that's nasty from Zoms. Oh my goodness. Zoms is great to watch. He always looks so just calm and patient. I don't know if it's like a combination of his slow sense and just his kind of unwavering confidence. He's a player that, like, a lot of players will want to kind of keep moving, but Zoms will sometimes just, you know, you'll see him and he won't move. He'll just stand there and then wait for you to repeat and he'll just nail you. So he's got great reactions as well. And that did seem like, you know, Zelsa's got a little bit worried there. He went very deep. Didn't necessarily have to come out hookah just there, but either way, 5-5, as you said, and we're back to that default this time. You know, with that recon, it's back to the usual setup where Tens will use that recon to take control of showers. Drone through to try to take control of short A as well. Forces out the paranoia. That's a huge maneuver. Now, Sentinels can keep the round slow if they want and re-exec, but they might just go straight in here. The paranoia's already gone. The rotation is not in just yet. And Sick, he had to get that one. Whippy holds onto this position. Whippy knows that he can't stay alive there for much longer. Uses the TP to get out of there. Penny's going to get out as well with the frag. Beautiful work from Version 1 so far. They maintain the 4v3 advantage onto this retake.
He's late, but Whippy, oh no. Just narrowly clip running dry, not able to land the shots onto Dapper's position's been given away and he's punished for it. Dapper with 12 health left. Wall goes up again. Shazam's just get whipped on by Zelsis. Snaps on his dome, cleans him up. Penny pushing through the smoke, gets one as well. Zoms is in a 1v3, a great spot to make something happen though. Does he have the magic in him again? Already good for one, but Penny's gonna stick it all the way there. The Mad Lad looking to steal it right out of under his nose, and he does just that.
Zoms is so scary, man. But this time, not going to pan out for him exactly. But yeah, it's just great work from Version 1. If you look at the way that they handle the fights there, super smart. You know, we get the, you know, Whippy gets that kill. He tries to get out of there. Doesn't try to hold the position. Holding U-Haul's huge, but he recognizes, hey, I've already got a man advantage for the team. And I believe the same thing, one of their teammates, I think it was Penny, I want to say, also picked up one kill and then faded out of the site. So they had a massive advantage on the retake. I just love the way that they handled that. It's really cool. And Sentinels for this last round of the first half, going to go heavy into B long, but there are a lot of players here. There's a dimensional rift as well. All that information is there. Penny's going to take down the first player, and Shazam at least gets the trade, but surely he's not in the best of spots here. He will back away. And out comes the Viper's Pit. The Showstopper's flying. The push for this B site is real right now, but Sentinels are losing players quickly.
Oh my gosh. They are indeed, but Dapper trades it right back with the Judge. 2 Viper's Pits were used there. You love that fake from Whippy, right? Make him think twice about it. Penny good on the flank, already good for one. He's going to have to back up, though, as the Viper's Pit is offline. And now it's Shazam for Sentinels, who finds himself in a 1v2. The thing is, Dan, they have no earthly idea where this man is. You can tell V1 they're guessing, right? Whippy's on the other side, Penny's here, and again, that gives the 1vx an opportunity to clutch things out. If they can isolate the gunfights, he's got a fighting chance. He also has the spike. So with 36 seconds left, it goes down. It's paranoid up. Oh, Shazam had him, had a spot on, but no, it's Whippy again who answers the call for V1. An excellent addition to the team. And, you know, Dan, as this round wraps up, I want to go back to the previous round because something that really impressed me, and you touched on it, right? It was how Version1 played, getting a couple of kills and then getting out. But for Whippy specifically, he didn't just get out. He didn't just use the From the Shadows to get to safety, back into defender spawn or anything like that. He went into showers, right? Like understanding in that split moment, yes, I can get out and be safe, or I can get out and be safe and put myself in a position to apply more pressure as the round goes on. And as we know, he unfortunately ran out of bullets, wasn't able to clean up anything with it, but just the game sense, really, to have the wherewithal to go there in that moment is just really impressive.
Yeah, definitely great stuff from Version1 so far. I'm liking the discipline. We're seeing the good fundamentals, and just there's so many good things to talk about. We'll see, though, if there's a recovery to be made here. Going into the second half, Sentinels on the defense now against Version1. 2-round deficit for them, though. Sickle try to slow things down with the boom bot, but they are feeling that a push, and the rotation needs to come through. But the question, though, is there a commitment? You can see that the utility has been pulled out. That's a big pull. You know, they took the paint shells out of the hands of Sentinels, didn't do anything. They took the boom bot away as well. And all they've really done is they traded some time on the clock for that. And right now, Sentinels don't know what's going on. So it's always a bit tricky in a pistol round. You don't necessarily want to try to find the information as heavily as you would maybe in a gun round, because you can get more done with the pistols. You have more movement possibilities. So it's going to work out the Sentinels will keep 3 players on B here.
There was info. It was quiet. Once again, Vanity trying to get away with the gate crash, and Tense cleans him up just in the nick of time. He's already gotten 2 with the Ghost, and there's great information to understand where the rest of them are. Gets cleaned up for the third. Tense gets another one onto Whippy. As Zelsa shows up. He was playing back showers this entire time. He's now going to show up to the site. He's going to get cleaned up. A 4K on the round for Tense. A great pistol for Sentinels as they bridge the gap down to 1.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with Tense on this Ghost in really any position whatsoever. The dismiss was perfect. That couldn't have gone better for Sentinels. And again, you just they made the right read. Just hold the position in those spots where you just don't know what the opponent's going to be doing. It's not really a strong argument either way. So just hold position and just be strong and safe and confident in those positions. And that's going to give them that opening advantage. Up against the eco round now, that will be coming 4th from Version1. Couple sheriffs in their hands, but that's about it. On the team, Whippy will be the players trying to get the damage done on the Yoru and Omen respectively.
Man, that's clean. Right, Dapper's just sitting there waiting with open arms. A great understanding where that pressure's coming from. Looking for a second. Yep, gun difference. That's felt right there as Penny gets cleaned up as well. He got away with 1 health, so he's certainly not as well off as he was a couple of moments ago, but they got what they wanted, and they've managed to do so, right? Like, Dan, they've managed to get the 2 kills to have the round lead without having lost anyone yet.
Yeah, this is how you want to do it. Just play to your strengths. Make sure that you are mitigating the options of the opponent, because there's only so many options where you can have an advantage with the pistols. So if you know what that is, then you know, and then you can know how to play against it. And this has been executed very well here by Sentinels. Zelsa's going to have to hit a nice sheriff shot. Doesn't manage to land it, and the running Spectre will do the job to finish things off. They equalize the score 7-7, and we're going to see that bonus round coming through now for Sentinels as they play against Version1's bye. And the question is, as it always will be, what will Sentinels do with this? Do they opt to play a passive setup, or do they want to try to get those Spectres, like some value out of the Spectres early on by controlling the way that you have the fight? Because the Spectre doesn't do well in a straight-up gun duel at range against a Phantom or a Vandal, right. But if you can engineer a fight where it's going to be close to medium range and you're calling the shots, now we're talking. Now you've mitigated that disadvantage, and it's going to be by the looks of things. Some B long control coming through from version 1, but there is from Sentinels. There's a couple players here. We get the drone from Shazam, and it's going to spot that. A 4-1 setup here for version 1. We'll see how far they want to go here, Doug. They may just decide to take this forward control. They still have the lurk from Vanity on the other side of the map. Ooh, that's a good start for Sentinels, though.
And Dan, that was what you were highlighting, right? Put yourself, put your Spectres, put your Stinger, Spectres, whatever it is, in this case, the Spectres, in a position to win gunfights that you wouldn't win otherwise, right? Don't take those long duels. Play around your smokes, play your tight corners, and give yourself a chance to win, or you may not be able to do so. And now version 1, they're down 2 members. They still have their rifles, but certainly don't have the advantage that they would have had otherwise as they play around A short.
Yeah, it seemed like version 1 were not necessarily expecting there to be the kind of fortified position on B long. They were expecting, I think, Garden to somewhat be given up by their pressure. That maybe their pressure will be respected more. But again, with the Spectres out, you actually want to, as you said, you want to take those fights if you're Sentinels. And someone just got the info. Yeah.
Oh, but Tens was just waiting, right? He was just right under the window. He never peeked out. Then he swings out. He's able to clean up 1 as Sentinels really take V1 apart in that round. And the bonus, man, like financially speaking, Dan, that's huge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's such a great start for Sentinels. There's no doubt about it. And it does give them the option as well that when the next gun round versus gun round happens, or full buy round, I should say, it's probably a little bit less cumbersome. It is going to be the case that Sentinels, they don't have to bring out the operators just yet. They can leave that look for a little bit later as the money keeps growing. And they can throw in some extra aggression and feel more confident to do so because they have more of a buffer to work with.
And now V1 are back on pistols, while Sentinels currently have 3 of their 5 members with over 4,600 credits in their pockets, right? Like, you're setting yourself for such long-term success if you can win that bonus, and that's so difficult to do. But the best teams in the world manage to, as we mentioned, put themselves in positions, craft the gunfights the way they want to give them the advantage.
So once again, we're seeing Sentinels just playing the distance game, playing long ranges, forcing version 1 to have to like collapse onto the site. Because the time is against version 1. It's up to them to plant that spike. They have to come forward. They've got to make the maneuver to do that. And Sentinels can wait for it. They don't care if the spike goes down. They don't care that a little bit of extra money is available for version 1. Because if they're able to force version 1 to take forward more risky positions and then collapse and get a more guaranteed result, then they're going to take that. And that's, so far, it's looking like that's working out phenomenally well.
30 seconds left.
And the spike's not even been planted.
No. And again, the clock just continues to tick away. Zom's in a great spot, too. If it was difficult before, it just became damn near impossible there, and it gets cleaned up. It was an excellent flank by Zoms. He took back U-Haul control, blew the play up to give Sentinels a 2-round lead. And, I mean, look at Tens is sitting on 8,700. And he didn't have to buy anything this round. Shazam, 7,900. He bought a little bit. Now Tens is going to buy some as well, but you feel the financial pressure that comes from losing the bonus if you're V1. Now they're back on a rifle, but they're broke.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best look in the world. And it's interesting too because, you know, Dapper, we haven't seen him too much on the Viper, but the last time he played Viper was actually against Under Thieves on Binds, and he had an insanely good game there as well. So, you know, Dapper knows what he's doing, man. He's one of the smartest players in the game, in my opinion. Very intelligent player. And they're going to start off well again, just taking down Vanity with that opening duel. And oh, this Version1 just going to try to walk up short A. This is looking a little bit desperate here, Doug.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much of a way in at all, Dan. And you can even see what they were trying to do. Vanity was set up in showers. He used the fake out. He pushed up with it as well to give the impression that there was a whole lot more like hack behind that punch, but it was just him. He gets cleaned up, and at that point, they were committed to A, right? Like you saw them slow walk their way in through A short, and Sentinels was just able to clean them up. Dan, that looked easy.
Yeah, it really did. Sentinels controlling the space around the site really effectively. They're slowing the opponents down when they need to. They're bogging them down with that utility of their own and taking advantageous fights where they're very confident that, you know, the pre-aim's perfect. And conversely, if you look at it from Version 1's perspective, on their screens, it's looking like very difficult fights. They're slowed down by everything. It's like they're stuck in the mud. It's very, very difficult. A nice forward Astra Smoke. Liking that a lot to try to pressure short B here. This is, you know, what we're talking about. Sentinels, you know, once again controlling space. And now, you know, for Version 1, you can see there's the flash and vanity. You got to be careful of these close positions. They're actually going to speed things up straight through Hookah as a 5-man push.
Oh, the gravity well comes through from Zombs to try to delay things. Yeah, Vanity made his way out with the dimensional drift, but that was it. Sick creeping his way forward, doesn't even get a chance as Whippy was in a great spot to nullify that threat. Effie's with the Sheriff, looking for a little something. He's got the Hunter's Fury in his back pocket as well. As V1 have a chance at this thing, the spike slowly starting to come down, and Shazam's going to use the Hunter's Fury to delay it for just a moment, and he's going to get the kill onto Effie's. Whippy left alone, spike not in hand, sight control not had. This does not look good.
Oh, God, yeah, this is terrible. Whippy has time, but the problem is, as you say, there are so many gambles you have to make in a position like this, and you can't check everything. And so Whippy's just going to have Lady Luck on his side as he moves forward, grabs the spike, and there it is. It's a crossfire scenario. There's really no winning that one for Whippy, and Sentinels still looking in control. It was a great round. It was a great attempt from Version 1.
Yeah.
Though, with that said, they weren't going into that round very much. It was a 5-man push through Hookah, and now we're back into the full buy for both sides. And it would be cool to see an operator here from Sentinels. Looks like Tense is not going to pick that one up on the Reyna. And yeah, we haven't really seen an operator here at all from Sentinels, despite their economy. They're pretty confident just to maintain this full rifle buy. And once again, we'll see Version 1 focusing on the B side of the map. They may have more success this time. They got the Hunter's Fury there to pressure Garden, but there's no setup there. It's very unfortunate for Version 1.
Oh boy. There's the setup. The setup is tense on the site. Zombs gets it as well. Vanity, though, cleaning up a couple of his own, getting his way onto the site. Whippy's made his way there as well. Now Sentinels are starting to show up. Vanity going to dash his way out. My gosh, they're going to flip the map, Dan. Oh, it's a fake the entire time. I love that. That's beautiful. Effie's gets on the side as well. The mind games in that entire round. Dan, they got onto the site. They looked like they had control. Then he gate crashes out to potentially flip the map. The fake out goes through the teleport to sell that fake. And then he doubles right back. V1, for as disastrous of a half as this has been, especially financially, V1 had full control of that round. Yeah, definitely. We're seeing, you know, those glimpses of brilliance in some of these rounds. As you say, like this half has definitely been characterized by Sentinel's dominance, but you see those glimpses, and that's critical because, you know, it shows that Version 1 is still really in the game. They have their heads in the game, and sometimes, you know, I don't like to, you know, talk about luck too much, but, you know, sometimes, you know, things just don't go your way. But Version 1, they're still here to play, and Sentinels have this more passive setup on the B side. Once again, Version 1 keeping the pace really quick here, and we're going to get those trays coming through onto the site. The spike's down. The Viper Pit is out as well. But Zombs has garden control. That's a big win for Sentinels here. They feel some of that pressure. Yeah, they had to take care of him. Zombs gets cleaned up. Shazam does as well. As V1 seem to have figured something out in the last couple of rounds, but they still have to clean this one up. Sick. The other side of Viper's Pit. Yep. Sick. Good Ron DeZelsis. As he and Dapper, buddy system, making it work. Sick, good for a second one as well, equalizing things down to a 2v2. Dapper's just so weak, though. He's got 30 health, and he can swing around. Sick, good for 3. Sick in a 1v1 against Penny. Sick just down to 33 health, though, and the clock continuing to tick away. Penny can just play this out for time. Sick, baby, you call him Sick because that boy's cold. He comes up huge for Sentinels and gets the defuse to take him to map point. What a incredibly good flick there from Sick. You could tell that he wasn't ready for that, but those gamer instincts, man, they just take over. This little micro correction. That's one of those shots where I think that even Sick doesn't consciously know that he's done what he's done. It's just his body is just doing what it's being programmed to do over countless hours of grind. And beautiful stuff from him. Penny goes down, as you say. That's the first map almost in the bag, but not quite. Version 1
still. Definitely with more than a puncher's chance here. Of course, they can't make a mistake, but they've got a good buy. Oh, we get the gravity well coming through. The aggression from Sentinels, and 3 players straight away are just gone. And Sick is looking for more. Shazam will take down Vanity, and this is the most ruthless, brutal, savage way that they could possibly have tried to end this game, I feel like. And there it is, the flawless. Of course, if we talked about statements, Doug, and there is certainly a statement from Sentinels in this chops, then there is a lot of data there that version 1 are capable, and they have the advantage because, in some senses, because they've already seen what didn't work. They've already seen what adaptations they need to make. It's actually Sentinels that will be in a position where maybe they'll be surprised because they don't know yet how version 1 would adapt, because Sentinels will probably want to just do the same thing. So, and that's what would put, in theory, version 1 in advantage in that sense. But obviously there's a lot more factors that go into it, and we'll have to see how those developments look. But in terms of just the lineups and the compositions, looking pretty standard. The only thing that we're of course we're not going to see is Dapper on the Viper. I think he exclusively likes to use that on binds from what we've seen.
And I mean, it was very effective. I think we're also, unfortunately, or well, fortunately, depending on who you are and what you say, no Yoru in the hands of Vanity this time around, but very similar, compositions to what we saw yesterday. And as you said, for version 1, the name of the game was control A lobby, right? If you can get up aggressively, get Whippy into a spot where he can toxic screen across really the entry into A, entry into B window, like there are just so many options that you take away, right, when you deny that information. So I'm looking to see how can V1 exploit that. And I think even on top of that, at least in this initial half, is like, what can Sentinels do around that? Because as you said, there's film, right? Like they understand, they've seen how V1 like to play this. V1 are a very good team on Haven, but what can they do this time around? Viper's wall going up, not nearly as aggressively, just kind of blocking entry into both A and B. We're starting to see some of that peak early on. Penny already swinging his way around. Zelsis looking to apply pressure across the middle of the map as well. He gets cleaned up. First couple of kills going in favor of Sentinels.
Yeah, it's looking great for them. They've got that C-side control coming through. Vanity's going to get pinched from both sides. Not too much that he can do about that one. And it's going to leave Penny and Whippy in a situation where there's nothing less to do than just hit some really insane shots. And they're going to be up against some entrenched positions. I love the focus around Garage here. Kind of coming off the site for the most part, and just holding that Garage control allows a lot of options defensively for Sentinels. And here comes the dive in. The Zombies will try to defend. Where's the trade at? The Cloudburst will deny the trade initially, but it seems inevitable. Sentinels will have too many bodies on the site for version 1 to contest. And Sentinels, once again, they're starting things off with that pistol victory.
You even saw V1 there, like understanding, all right, we're severely outnumbered. We're pretty heavily outgunned. We don't have any control of the site. So what do? We just freaking run, blitz into the site, see what we can make happen. And there were moments, right, where teams play around the chaos had an opportunity for it, but it didn't pay off. And Dan, look at the positioning from V1 around A again.
It's going to be an interesting fight here. Oh, we do get the gravity well there in anticipation. The Viper will protect them. Dapper's able to deal with Zelsis, but the orb is claimed by version 1. Dapper's in that forward corner looking to find a spot, and he's got the timing. Gotta be careful though. However, he does have support, so it's looking pretty good here. Sentinel's running off the back of these frags. In fact, actually, it would appear the ultimate did not go to version 1, so that's a nice win for Sentinels as well.
On top of everything else that has already gone so right for them. My gosh, sick. It's just so gross. Zoms cleans it up as well. Sentinels jump out to an early 2-0 lead, and we saw V1 looking to dial up something aggressive on A. They had heavy pressure that way, full sending through that utility, and it didn't pan out.
Yeah, and the focus here is to look and see, okay, what does Sentinels want to do in this situation where, again, it's a bonus round, right? They've got these Spectres. We talked about it previously. You want to put those Spectres in a position where they're the strongest, and you have more room to do that on the attack because you can decide where you go. So you can use the architecture and tactics to, really make sure these Spectres are going to be harmonious. And they're looking to go for perhaps a straight contact C. And walking up there, they'll have Shazam able to get the recons in place to get all of the info on the site. And well, there it is. Version1, they decided to go for more of a stack towards the A side of the map, and that just happens. That just happens sometimes where you have to take a gamble at the start of the round. It's not going to work out. But, you know, the retake is where it's at now.
Take flight.
Shazam on the entry there got one step closer to getting his Hunter's Fury online, and you see how Sentinels, they aren't just anchoring down on the site, right? These are excellent post-plant positions they've taken. Well, of course, as I say that, Penny happens. He's good for 2 with the Vandal as they continue to push their way forward. Would be wise to the lurk around Dapper as he gets cleaned up as well. Shazam and Tens left alone. They've got a Marshall. Well, it's a Marshall and it's Tens. So you don't count it out. Oh my gosh, you don't count it out! He's looking for more. He gets the other one as well. Is he gonna have enough time? Did he just rob the round? No, the defuse come through. 0.46 seconds. My gosh, Dan.
Oh, so fast from Tens. That's unbelievable. Oh my god, the Marshall. Dude, I feel like we need to see more Marshall buys, man. This is why the no-scope is nuts on this thing. Oh, you just need to see him win that round. He deserved it. But anyway, Version1's going to pick it up regardless, and it's going to be interesting to see if they go with this heavy commit towards a lobby once again. They did that in the previous round. Of course, Sentinels contacted into C, but we're going to see a more standard approach here from Sentinels. They got the drone going through straight away, the cage across as well. Penny is ready to fight from short. And Dapper, you know, he's crept out once again. This is one of the, you know, ways you want to try to play against this forward toxic screen. But he did take down Zealous. It's not ready for the wall to drop, it would seem. And at the same time, Tens was trying to creep into B. They've actually tried to out-game V1 with the rotation, but Version1 know what's up, and it's up to Zoms and Dapper now in the 2v3 to try to recover this one.
I mean, Dan, Dapper's down to 1 health. Well, of course, he just gets a little bit there, up to 20 now, but not in a great spot. They also don't in a 2v3, right? Like, I think the one thing you have going for you if you're Sentinels is you have plenty of time, right? And you have the element of surprise. You cut noise, make them guess about where they're going to go, and you see the impact that Haven being a 3-site map has. You have to spread yourself even more thin than you normally would, and that's going to allow Sentinels to get onto C. Zom's not getting the spike down yet. Here he goes. And V1 are, I mean, they're coming from all the way downtown to try to get to this retake.
Some time will be killed in just sort of making their way over. And again, we mentioned before, you know, Dapper's great at killing time. Zom's able to get the Cosmic Divide there. That's going to cause some problems. So sure, you get a lot of space here, but this is to try to create some gambly situations right now, because you've got to try to get lucky, and Dapper will not get lucky in this instance. Zom's now against 3 players, gets the first one with the headshot. Another 1v1 for him, but it looks like it's going to come through here in time for Version1 as they take him down. And it's another close defuse, but a defuse nonetheless for Version1 to clinch it, equalizing 2 apiece.
I like the Cosmic Divide there, right? Like, not having the numbers advantage, try to put yourself in a spot where you can, again, deny information. I know I touch on that a lot, but it really is such an imperative, like, such an important part of the game, right? And how rounds play out. So they put up that Cosmic Divide, but it was actually the gun barrel that deceived him as he pushed his way through. They were able to clean that up, and as you said, it was close down to the wire, but that's all it was. V1 tied up 2 apiece, and we're going to see some of this same like fight for A lobby control. They're going to continue to invest utility there. The one difference is that we have not seen V1 take it early on and then establish that utility control like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and this is the punish that we're seeing again, and we saw Cloud9 trying to do this a lot as well against Version1. You just try to play into Garage, you try to play into the C site. Version1 again having to play the full retake. However, they do have the ults to try to do it. Sick, oh, he's unable to get that, has to get out of there, and in comes the Hunter's Fury. Oh, that's doing a lot of damage.
Oh, it is. Vanity's going to get cleaned up. You saw the help show up just in the nick of time. Ten's going to use that Blade Storm. A good idea of where one member was. But he's going to get away scot-free. The only ultimate that Sentinels has going for them right now is the Blade Storm in the hands of Tens. Giga Little Cloudburst to deny any information gathered from Effie's as they start to dash their way through. Cloudburst not going to connect onto anything quite yet, just down to a couple of blades. Doesn't connect. Effie's cleans it up. Zomzik And Shazam trying to fight this thing back. The Viper's Pit's going to come out, and that might be exactly what they need to kind of keep them back. Sentinels, oh no, the shock dart from Shazam, looking for a second one as well. Sick sweeps his way out. Sick, good for 3. Sentinels take the round, but they're not going to have time to defuse it. They got the kills, but they don't get it.
Well, it's a good thing they're on the attack. It's all going to be great. It's going to be really difficult to get that defuse, especially on that plant. There's such a money plant, because if a player's trying to even, like, if you're in a 1v1, almost any situation, obviously the vision's denied. It's so easy, as you can see, to this like full send a shock dart there. No lineup is required if the vision's cut off. It's just such a great post plant. It's really the most effective one when you're playing long. But in a Version 1, you know, we've seen some scrappy rounds here. You know, lots of players dying, their money is ruined. Not actually opting for that initial Viper toxic screen to kind of diagonally go across a lobby, as we've seen in most of these situations. We can see instead that we've got a different placement, cutting through a long, short A, as well as B. And Sick, you know, he's the duelist. He's trying to take some forward control, creating some space towards A short, clearing these positions, and depending on what happens here, in fact, it looks like they're just going to go for the full send. They've moved up pretty close, all 5 players, so they might as well just try to contact onto the site now. And there's only Penny there to try to stop this with a frenzy.
Man, he got spotted, instantly dashed away and got followed right up as Thames was hunting for him. It's actually Sick who cleans him up. As they've gotten control of the site, Sick 1 point away from having to run it back online. And as you mentioned, V1 don't have ideal weaponry now. Vanity does have the Marshall, and we saw just a couple of rounds ago how devastating that weapon can be. But can Vanity replicate what Tens was able to do? Does have the Cosmic Divide. Effie's has his ultimate as well. So there's certainly a world in which they pull this thing off. But man, it's going to be hard. All right, Vanity, good for 1. Not able to land the second one. He's going to get tagged up. Effie's cleans out. And there's just not enough time to...
One enemy remaining.
Yeah, it's in a round like this, you would really need a couple of kills to come from that Marshall to start to convince you to think that maybe it's worth burning some of those ults to try to win the round. But one thing that's interesting too is that, you know, you always have to look at the strategy on the anti-eco. Sentinels just contacted towards C last time, and Version 1, you know, they had more of an A stack. So this time Sentinels just contacted towards A. So, you know, just a 50-50, but it's hard to know what to do when you're in the defender's side and you have that eco. You have to take a gamble, and sometimes you're going to get it right, sometimes you're going to get it wrong. But you're going to act from past information, which is why Sentinels kind of flipped the site that they went for, so that they're not being too predictable. And the toxic screen is a tell as well, because that was the change. We'll see it again here. Normally, if you put a screen like that, Sentinels might think, well, if they're putting a screen there, they're trying to disincentivize us to go into some of these positions, so maybe they're actually making plays on the other side of the map, and there's more bodies around there. So, you know, that's another part of the mind games with the toxic screen in a setup like this. And it's also a toxic screen that's very good for playing retake, because you cut off short and you cut off long. So it's another reason why it suggests that there's not many players towards A, because you're going to assume, if you see that toxic screen as Sentinels, that Version 1 are playing retake A with their defensive setup. So you're going to expect more players towards C and B if you're Sentinels and reading this correctly.
Scanning ahead.
Early push. He sees Elsis creeps his way forward. Here's a little bit of that space denial, but like as you mentioned, like Cloud9 tried doing and how Sentinels has done a couple of times successfully in this map, they're just going to push away from that, right? Like if they understand that they can make their way into garage, if they can make their way into C, there's just so much room to work with there, so much more room to breathe.
Yeah, and the toxic screen goes up to try to buy some time for the rotation here. You can see that right now, Version 1 don't know what's going on. They're not really sure, and they're quite passive in their positions. They have no forward info, so they just have to sit on these spots that they have right now. And you can see they're holding fairly evenly across the map. So this just comes down to how well Sentinels will execute off of their positioning. They need garage control still if they're going to really try to finish this with a C split, which it looks like will be the case. Now, that recon might actually convince Version 1 to burn some utility early on. And it looks like that's going to be the case, because there goes the Hunter's Fury from Effie's.
Penny getting one with the operator as well. You saw the run it back was used. Vanity playing around logs, clean shot onto Tense to clean him up. Penny gets in on it as well with the operator, looking to make it sink some more. 2 members remain on the side of Sentinels. Make that 1 as Penny gets 3. The 4th gets cleaned up from Effie's as V1 take that round away.
Yeah, great round from Version1 for sure. They were in such a good position. You know, we talked about the fact that they didn't have much info, but at the same time, Sentinels hadn't really had much pressure across the map, so there was still lots of utility left to play a late round defense for Version1, and they had the Hunter's Fury as well to play spoiler around the garage position, which was a really big deal. That really stopped Sentinels from coordinating in, and now, you know, we're in this spot where Version1 could take over this half. We've got Penny on the operator. They're going to be playing for a lobby again. 3 players there. They're not using that same diagonal A lobby Viper wall. It's still the same one we had previously. And Sentinels, they're trying to capitalize on the early timings. They're going to walk straight into B.
And it's going to be undetected. I mean, the only one who's kind of close here is Effie's, who's may get some info. The wall still hasn't gone up, but at this point, they know exactly where the play is coming from. You don't see anything aggressively going on a flank through garage or anything like that. They're just going to try to work their way in through the cuts. And you see Sentinels, their post plants are off the site, right? Like, they don't want to get caught in the chaos of what happens on B proper. They can just take good positioning and fight from behind that. Also, Dapper on a flank, looking to get behind them, but is there going to be enough time? Cosmic Divide coming out. Sick looking to work his way through the gravity well into the hot hands. The dart is there as well to try to give that info away. There's Dapper on the flank, just such a nuisance. He cleans up Zelsis as well with 10 health left. V1 have to work their way through this, and Sentinels actually going aggressively. They stop the defuse. Penny's left alone. A flawless round. What a round by Sentinels.
Oh, that's such an awesome round. There's so many little details there that are really key. Normally when you play that B plant, what happens often is that you get into a position where the opponents will be flanking you from various spots and you have to defend from like 3 different angles. You can't really establish in mid. Not only did Dapper always have control of A lobby because he had a cam there, we also saw that they had enough info for him to know that he could actually push. And he made a really good timing around that A flank. That was key. And because there was nothing coming from garage, Sentinels didn't have to worry about anything. In fact, it was Version1 that were getting split up. So just a really strong look on that B round that a lot of teams don't tend to have that much control. So it's very cool to see that from Sentinels. And once again, playing the eco. And what did we see last time? You know, they just contacted into the A site. And looks like that might happen again here, it seems, because they get the opening pick there. The info from the neural theft will reveal Penny's position. They know he has got the knives out as well. Oh!
No way. No way. Flashed as he looks for more. No, he's going to get cleaned up from 10s. But you're right, Dan. If you can, in a situation like this, if it worked before, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. They do play contact onto the site. They get the spike down as well. There's some decent weaponry, I guess, right? Like, we've seen Vanity. That's how devastating he can be with that weapon. But, well, we're not going to get a chance to see any of that this time around. Sentinels jump out to a 3-round lead. Financially, they should be in good shape. They carry 4 weapons into the next round, and they're looking good.
Yeah, it's a great half from them so far. I'm really enjoying seeing how Sentinels are kind of putting this together. And also, you know, again, as I mentioned before, it's also fun to see the adaptations from Version1, and they've not been able to make this defensive side look quite as good as they did yesterday. Sentinels are getting a lot more value than Cloud9 were able to do. And this is a pretty heavy commit towards the A side of the map. Once again, Penny's going to be peeking that short A position, but Dapper's typically been running default. And once again, I love this from Sentinels. They're abusing the fact that Version1 have these mid openings at the early timing of the round. And they're going to walk straight in with the run it back from Sick. He's going to look for those C players, and he might just find them.
Oh, he's got Vanity. Yep, he's able to clean him up. There was another one there, but the ult got taken offline. The damage was still done as the spike goes down on B. Now, a slightly different flavor from what we saw last time, right? Keep an eye on 10s. He's back in Gong. He's by himself now. He's been given away. The Cloudburst not able to keep him alive as Zelsis cleans him up. This is already a very different look. Once again, Dapper's going to be on the flank trying to work his way around. Penny cleans up Shazam as they have to fight through some of that utility, but the flank actually comes out from Whippy to give them a bit more room to breathe. And as things continue to tick away, Dapper's going to be a problem again. Sick gets onto 3, Zelsis alone. Zelsis gets cleaned up. Sentinels get to 7.
They tried so hard, did Version1, to get the hot hands out of Sick, and he just did not do it until it was absolutely necessary. The perfect timing, and especially given the garage pressure that came through, he had to come off of the angle to try to deal the garage player, and still just landed it at the perfect timing. Such phenomenal work from Sick and Dapper in that round. And you know, right now they are sort of outclassing Version1 on some of these plays, and this is another look we didn't see from Cloud9, just abusing the fact that Version1 are committing early timings away, or their players away from the middle of the map. And it's not just that Sentinels are abusing that, they know how to play it. They know how to play that B side, it's clear.
This time leaning into a bit of the aggression that Version1 like to show. Into A as there's heavy presence. Penny's going to have to dash away. Doesn't get tagged up. Version1 here on this lighter buy. Looking to see if they can turn the tides here a bit. And Dan, I think you make a really good point. We saw Cloud9 try to do this yesterday, right? They tried to exploit the middle of the map. They tried to push away from the pressure from V1, but they did not have the same success. And I think it comes down to their execution at the end of the day. They do know how to play around these sites, and they're making things work that Cloud9 were not able to.
Yeah, I mean, in this round too, Sentinels slowed down massively because they thought Version1 would try to flank them, but Version1 had a better sense than that. Zelsus able to dismiss back and away as Sentinels start to charge through to C. Beautiful stuff from him, able to equalize to a 4v4, but still, they're going to have to retake onto the C site, and in terms of the ult economy, it's not looking great here for Version1, and it's looking even worse in terms of weaponry. Only 3 Spectres and a Frenzy to try to get the retake working, and it's going to be a long setup again. So this is going to be very hard for Version1.
And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Dan. Leaning towards your gun advantage. If they take away, if they try to play around long, they're going to have the advantage in that situation over Spectres, over Frenzies. Of course, as I say that, Penny cleans one up, cleans a second one up as well. Penny 1v2, he has to push into that. Yeah, you felt the difference, right? Like, Sentinels played around that gun advantage that they had, and they played to perfection.
Yeah, and it's just such a perfect moment for Sentinels to just stop the pace, because they'd abuse that mid for like 2 or 3 rounds in a row, and then they just like hold, because in situations like that, if you're Version1, you want to get really aggressive on one of the flanks, and Sentinels were holding both flanks, and Version1 seemed to have the sense that this was probably what was happening, so they couldn't really do anything. It didn't really feel like there's a good response there. So great finish to the round from Sentinels, and going into this buy against buy, the question is, do they want to abuse mid again? It looks like that might be the case, because we've got Sick once again walking up mid into that B site, looking for that run it back opening.
Now Vanity has pushed his way early into garage. There's that run it back that you mentioned. Vanity making his way around. He's in a great spot for the flank, but no, his position's been given away. Dealt a bit of damage, but he got cleaned up at the hands of Tens. Sick looking to continue to push his way forward. Zelsus on the back of the site. And this is the first time we've seen this, right, Dan, where they try to have that exact same hit, test the waters, it doesn't pan out, and they try to flip the map, and Dapper's made his way onto C. He's going to get cleaned up, but they've still gotten onto the site.
There goes Penny running around longs. He's going to get 2. And with that, it's down to Shazam. 10 health left. It's not going to be a good look for him. The double swing comes through, and it will be successful for 4th round. It's not a lot, but it is enough to work from for Version1 as they switch into the second half. They're going to be on the attack instead, which might feel a little bit more comfortable. Sentinels, brilliant half from them. I have to say, you know, they had such great adaptations. This was, Tens deserve that round, but he won't get it. But yeah, love the mid abuse coming in from Sentinels. That last round we saw was the first round where Version1 were able to kind of stop them and then force them to have to reroute their push. And all right, let's see if Version1 can get something going here. Penny's off to a pretty good start in terms of the fragging, and definitely an important play. It would be great to see Penny come up huge in this pistol with that Ghost.
Even when on attack, they fight for a lobby control through utility, and it's just enough to make them think twice about it. As you see V1, they got the Viper's wall up, but they're moseying their way towards B as well as they can. Penny, as you mentioned, needing to come online for V1 here. Good for the first kill of the round. They're going to work their way into garage towards C. And Sentinels are going to show up a bit late. But Can they take the site back? Whippy looking to get the spike down.
Spike planted.
Does just that.
Garage controls a good start for Sentinels on the retake effort. The star's getting put down as well. By Tom says the gravity well as they start to make their way through. Vanity gets great damage finisher from Penny as Zelsis from the back site is also holding back sight. And there goes the dash. That's Ten's forced out of the site. And that's another choke point he now has to move through. Dash in the tank unless he gets another frag out of this. Time is against him. He's going to have to keep pushing. He's got no other choice. And his opponents, they know it. And at this point, there goes the poison orb. And I mean, of course, Tens will get the kill, but it will be in vain ultimately as we get taken down. But one thing that's critical... Oh, oops. One player that's critical for a player like Tens is picking up the ult charge. Getting the knives out as soon as possible is like such an economic... so it's such a big economic deal in the sense that he's able to kind of save on the gun round with the ult and then get the operator out if he's able to get, you know, an orb, maybe a kill in around here.
Few players as electrifying as Tens can be. It seems like, you know, kind of regardless of the situation, you got to give it a sliver of a chance. But V1, again, he managed to delay just long enough to get the round. Now, they've got a couple of weapons going into this thing, and Sentinel's certainly not coming from a same position. And much like we've spoken in the past, you're going to try to get that ult orb into the hands of V1. Control around that. Think about playing for the longevity of the half.
He does not like what he sees. But a free B site for Vanity and Zelsis. They're definitely going to be liking that. But the B side, it is hard to hold, and Dapper's going to pick up a frag hit, starting to look a little bit sketchy for version 1. Vanity down to 7 HP, 6 wrapping, and will get dealt with. That's an important one. I really felt
coming through.
Felt dangerous, man.
It did. And you know, it's funny, you seldom see teams with a gun advantage intentionally playing into B, but that seems like what V1 wants to do here. They do manage to get the spike down, but they're far from out of the woodworks. There's a shorty, a couple of members of Sentinel as well. Okay, that certainly helps things. And if it's not the shock dart, it's the bulldog. Effys gets 4. Whippy cleans up the last. V1, excuse me, bridge the gap down to 2 rounds. Now Sentinels are going to be able to approach this round with rifles. They've got a little bit more behind them. We'll see what they can do to keep V1 back.
Oh my god. For Effys and I think it was Zelsis in the site, that seems so insanely uncomfortable. Those positions were not good. So that shock dart was one of the only ways that Effys was going to not die there. So really important and made it look ultimately pretty clean. And going into this round, looks like they want to just go for a send it on C. And it's fairly telegraphed here. The drone's going to come through. Now, the question is how much they commit to this. Of course, we've got the lurk coming through into Garage from Zelsis. And the question is, you know, with that toxic screen, the drone coming through, they didn't get rid of the cam, though. That cam basically tells Sentinels that it's all a lie.
Yeah. At least for the time being. There's still presence, right? The ult orb is still up, too, so you imagine V1's going to try to get that, clean that up and go on about their merry way.
There's a trip in that Garage as well. And so Dapper, with the cam and that trip, he's able to kind of trade that utility really effectively, because there was a lot burned by V1 to try to suggest they were doing something towards C. And now they're having to rotate towards A. And you've got this spot coming through as well from Sick, who's playing A long at the moment. So there's going to be possibly a low amount of time here for version 1 if they're not careful to complete this round. But the Hunter's Fury could make the difference. Or rather, it was, sorry. 30 seconds to get the spike down is starting to get a little bit sketchy in terms of timings.
And you see V1, like they've invested 2 players still off site. Both Vanity and Zelsis are playing off, and with 30 seconds left, you mentioned you start to feel some of that pressure of it being time to go. They flip the map again. And at this point, there's no question about it. They have to go towards C. Effys using the Hunter's Fury. The Gravity Well was used as well. Dapper good for 1, though. It's just good. It's going to be enough time. It might be enough to buy just enough to get them. They can't get onto the site. I don't think they're going to be able to get the plant down. Vanity trying to get it. The delay was beautiful, Dan.
Oh, it's so close. And Dapper as well. I don't know how he managed to get a frag out of that. That was pretty insane. He knew that he had to run forward and take... Because he knows that when that fight's coming, he saw exactly what was happening. He was able to just escape the gravity well. He knew at that point he was going to get ulted. He's able to just squeak past the Log's position into that forward spot to just eke out a kill and slowing them down enough with his teammates' utilities. Just so close. And version 1 though, you know, it was such a late call. They didn't exactly know what the best answer was.
Revealing area.
Ooh, that's version 1 moving towards a long. That's a lot of presence felt by Sentinels, and they might try to play retake here. They are kind of ambling out of the site right now. But given what version 1 just did, Sentinels might be unsure if this is a commitment or not. But we can see that it most certainly is. The spike is still actually a little bit far away. It's in short still. Oh, Zoms picks up one. And now Shazam's asking questions too.
V1 not just happy with taking control of the site. They wanted to push their way forward, push the defending lines back even more. While the kills were traded, they still managed to get onto the site. They managed to get the spike down at the hands of FEs, and they're playing back a good bit, right? Like you see both Whippy and Vanity playing pretty far off the site. FEs is doing it as well. They're just leaving Penny on the site to play hero. He's got a Blade Storm. He's got a chance at something. Swings out. No, he gets popped right in the mouth. Yeah, it's the lineups. That's what it was out of Whippy. Ult Orb comes out. Drops as well and just continues to delay, continues to buy time. Sick using the curveballs to perfection to try to get onto Whippy. And no, Whippy cleans him up, wins that fight. They're on the tap. You're going to have to go. You see the shock darts coming out as well. Tens isn't going to have enough time. He had to pull off. He had to pull off the delay again out of V1. Previously, it was from Sentinels that was just so pretty, but this time it was from V1 using the delay from both Viper and from FEs on the Sova to just delay, to buy time, to force them off of it. That won them the round.
Yeah, this is great for sure from version 1. They're creating this kind of style that's really annoying to play against, because we saw it in the round just before that one as well, where they wanted to try to just walk together onto a site. And they're not playing the map control game, the heavy default game as much. They're just trying to get all the bodies onto a site effectively. And, you know, I'm just pausing here because I'm like, do I have time to actually make this point? It looks like we might have some action coming through from both version 1 with Penny trying to get a look into Garage, but Sick is pretty close by as well. And they have a Sheriff on him. Tens with the knives. He's going to find both frags. And okay, that's a problem because the Thrifty's feeling pretty close right now because of this. And Sick's out there too. He's got that Sheriff in hand. He's tagged up Effie's, and Tens is going to finish it off. It was the layup, the setup from Sick, the dunk from Tens, and now it's a 4 versus 2, and they're spreading the wealth. The guns are getting distributed, and now they might just walk into Zoms.
This round has gone absolutely sideways. And it was really all off the backs of Tens and his Blade Storm. And the one silver lining, if you will, for V1 is that they do still have control of the spike. And they have 40 seconds. They have some time. They've shown propensity to play down to the very last second of the round when it comes to where they want to go. But the thing is, Dan, they don't have a ton of information, right? Like they're really guessing, and even with, regardless of what the guess is, you have to understand there's a chance you're going to walk into someone when you're at this heavy at a numbers disadvantage, and it may, who else but Tens with 4. Shazam cleans it up. You called it. It was a Thrifty. It was off the back of Tens with the Blade Storm. That's a big round for Sentinels.
Oh, man. You know, the thing is, you know, the drone goes through and you feel a sense of safety if you're version 1. You can't really fault them for peeking that because the drone doesn't see anything in Garage. Tens kind of peeks as a drone at the perfect timing, really. And the drone's not going to do anything to Tens. He's still going to be able to get that fast move, and he's still going to get a chance to get a surprising fight. Just a brilliant way to open up the round. And now he's on the operator. Now the economy is looking much better for Sentinels. And version 1, they have very little in the tank here. It's Penny with that Vandal, and they're going hard towards this A site right now. They might just want to full commit here.
Yeah. Oh, and they're going to commit right into an operator from Tens. Goes there, gives some spot away. He lands a shot onto Penny, the only rifle in the round for V1 offline here as he's looking for more. Trying to make some more magic happen with the op. See Sek Sick, excuse me, using the run it back as well, and just pushing so many members back, right? Like, he clears out so much space.
And it's so difficult here as well, because with having a frag up and the damage done for Sentinels, they don't even have to play hard stop if they don't want to. They can try to play more of a retake game where they allow these players of version 1 who have to get the spike down. They allow them to try to come through some of these choke points, but they have to go against TenZ. If TenZ picks off one, TenZ could decide to just get out the site and then play the retake game. Like right now, the timing's not perfect for Zombs, but it doesn't really matter because TenZ is going to drop everybody with his help. And it's a flawless victory for Sentinels. Version 1 not looking like they have options in some of these rounds. And it feels like off the back of this buy, this has to do it all. Version 1 have to find success. And and again, I'm not sure what they're going to go for here. Because again, we've seen that they just like to try to group up. And Sentinels don't seem too fazed by this.
No, they don't. I think for V1, you've got three, I mean, pretty notable ultimates, right? Mainly looking at the Hunter's Fury and the Viper's Pit. And obviously, the Empress can be problematic as well. So they've got some of that in their pocket. But like you said, Dan, this is really do or die for version 1 on this map. You start to run out of windows. You start to run out of opportunities to make something happen. They've taken the middle of the map. Looks like they're going to try to play into B again. Penny's going to dash his way forward, stick with the curveball and the hot hands to delay, to buy time. As the Viper's Pit goes down. Hunter's Fury coming out from Shazam. Tagged up Vanity, certainly, or excuse me, I believe that was Penny. Yeah, he got messed up a bit there, but it wasn't enough for the kill, but Zombs was. The spike does go down. What can they do? Sick playing around through. His health starts to dwindle down, but he manages to land the shots to get the kill anyway. Clip wrench dry, but information gathered. Dapper good for one as well. V1 just down to 2 members left. And they're both playing off site. You imagine Dapper here, if he could just be enough of a nuisance, gonna buy him some time, but no, Zelsis and Vanity get cleaned up. Or they clean up. Zelsis has to go. He's gonna drop the Leer. The gravity well was there, but Vanity goes absolutely huge for V1, a 3K on the round to win it for him, and they're gonna live to fight another day.
Awesome stuff with the Cosmic Divide there from Vanity. It almost looks counterintuitive to drop the Cosmic Divide in this situation because it's, you know, it's like, you know, but then you can't see the spike, but it's like it allows them to close the distance together. And in that kind of a spot, you know, you throw the Dismiss out, you just, sorry, the Leer out, you just have to get a little bit fortunate as you charge through there. And Vanity hits some fantastic shots, and that's going to be version 1 staying in the game. Not just staying in the game, they have a real chance to reset things here if they're able to wipe out this buy of Sentinels. But this has to be a clean round. And again, TenZ on that operator. He's peeking short A. Control for Sentinels quickly towards that A lobby position. They're going to rotate off A, reinforce B. Better timing here now from Sentinels on this defense. They're all grouped up and ready on that B side already. Now, that would not be a great opportunity for version 1. They're going to have to instead try to work something else. But we talked about this. They like to group up. They're all towards Garage right now. And Sentinels have players in position for this.
Oh, man. And again, the gravity well just delays, right? Just buys enough time for Sentinels to be able to rotate to get onto the site. And V1 kind of understanding that, a little touch and go. They're going to pull off. Zelsis is left up aggressively. Curveball. Zelsis in the fight against Sick. Some damage dealt, but V1 decide to double down and stick onto the site. Dapper wisely just lets Penny go by and cleans up one of the members of V1. Sick shows up just in the nick of time. He's got the classic, looking for more. V1 at a numbers disadvantage. It ties up to 3 apiece. Again, looking for magic with the classic Whippy and Penny. It's just TenZ alone. TenZ with the operator, no Blade Storm in tow. But as we've said, you never count him out, but Whippy just absolutely nullifies that at just the right time. You mentioned that this was an opportunity for V1 to really kind of set things sideways, to reset, really have a good chance to get back in this thing. Dan, they've done it.
Yeah, and you can see the way the Sentinels react with their rotation too, is that they're just all running around, like they're just following V1 around. And it's because, you know, when version 1 have been attacking sites, they are pretty much just grouping up and they don't really leave players on the other side of the map. So you know, there's not as much of a punish if you're doing what Sentinels does in their rotations there. But in that instance, you know, V1 did kind of fake him out a little bit to get, you know, a fight on the C site where it's only Dapper to worry about, which they trade out effectively. So now, and moving forward, it looks like there is still just enough money in the tank here for another buy from Sentinels, but they don't have the operator on TenZ. Oh, Zelsis is going for a timing in this B side. There goes the Leer. Nothing in response. No utility used. A site is given because TenZ is so far forward. This is scary stuff. The tension's palpable here because if TenZ pushes and runs into Whippy, that's a problem. They're going to go for garage control. How much can Sick get out of the judge?
The judge, good for one. The Cosmic Divide comes out. Whippy waiting for TenZ, who was on the slow burn the entire time, wins that duel. The Sentinels have the numbers advantage. V1 painfully outnumbered here, and they don't have the spike. They're going to have to pull back. Dapper and really the rest of the Sentinels have full control of Garage here. Oh, Shazam cleans him up. Dapper takes care of Vanity as well. Sentinels get to map point. Oh, Dan, that one was scary, and it went absolutely sideways for V1.
Yeah, I did really like what they were doing, though, because they were trying to punish Sentinels if Sentinels were trying to punish what they have been kind of historically doing across a lot of these rounds, which is, they don't tend to leave players necessarily on some of these flanks. So that's quite abusable if you're Sentinels. But V1 just slowed everything down to try to catch a push, and Sentinels they just played it perfectly, man. Such a good response from them, and now it's going to be a huge commit towards this A lobby control. We'll see how this one goes. Shazam with the recon, and he's going to fall back. It looks like, it's going to be a great opening there for V1. TenZ goes down.
Oh, that's big. That's big, and Penny gets the Blade Storm online too, so it's not just TenZ, but Zoms and Shazam clean up a couple. Shazam looking for more, but no, we are Zelsis' chance coming across as Zelsis goes absolutely bonkers for V1. He's gonna get the spike down, but Sick is on the flank. He's got to run it back as well. You see Dapper applying pressure from up in heaven. Curveball coming out. Sick looking for more. Dapper quims out at just the right time. It's just one. It's Effie's. Would you have the clutch? And he cleans one up. But no, the hot cans cooks him. Sick's going to be able to get the defuse. Sentinels take a 2-map lead in this best of 5.
Oh, man, with the hot hands. The last ditch, all he had time for was to throw out the hot hands, and it's enough. Great stuff from Sick once again. And it's going to be in terms of their performances on this map, and they play very close to all of the top tier teams on this map. So they're going to be definitely much, presumably, more well versed in Bok, so I'll put the whole Viper box shenanigans. But again, you never know. They're definitely comfortable with the map, and sometimes those adaptations with Asians aren't necessarily that severe if it's just some fundamental principle differences, as opposed to having to learn loads of different setups and so on. And we've seen that Whippy is very capable on this Viper. So yeah, I think this is definitely not a foregone conclusion by any stretch. I think Version1 will have they will be able to control the game more. The thing about Icebox is that it is much more simple if you want it to be. On the attack or the defense, and it can come down to knowing how to play the retake, how to play the for example, just the slow rolling certain sites. There's no other map in the game where you can kind of just sit on one part of the map for the entire round, not play a mid or late round. That's something that FaZe showed us not too long ago. But with that said, I'm definitely expecting Sentinels to just come in with so much confidence here. We talked about a potential to see maybe these teams be a little bit loose. We saw that Yoru pick going into binds, so Vanity was feeling something. I'm not sure if it was feeling loose or not, but the thing is, what we've seen now in these last couple maps is that Sentinels are hitting hard. They're hitting very hard. TenZ is looking fantastic. Everybody's looking fantastic from Sentinels. They've been a gear above. This is a time for Version1 to knock them down a peg. We're going to see if that's going to be the case here as we move into map 3. The first round here, going into the pistol, and we'll see Version1 on the attack, and this is where we want to see him.
Holy Viper utility around B, man. Look at both those toxic screens slicing and dicing up that area of the map, while really everyone, except Zoms, is playing towards A. And that shit, Shazam just got a good bit of information to understand that that's likely where the play is going to go. You see all of the members of V1 have made their way onto the site. The wall's gone up. Vanity gets the spike down, and it looks like he's going to be able to get away with his life, even though he was tagged up. Now they play around the wall.
Great wall, and Vanity, is able to take down one player. That's Sick out of the picture. It's almost a way to use the poison orb to try to conceal their presence, and that's a threat, and the issue is this post-spawn utility coming through, and some of these peaks, these headshot angles are very dangerous to deal with. Penny popping himself up on the post, doing a lot, but it looks like Sentinel's getting some value now. Finally able to pressure some of these more forward positions, and it's going down to Storm's 10 HP. There's no time left. He's going to take down one more player, but again, no time left. Reload comes through, but it's Effie's for the frag, and it's the round, of course, for Version1 regardless, as they pick it up.
That was an absolutely chaotic round, and you saw all of that utility. You mentioned the poison orb to hopefully try to kind of keep things under wraps as they tried to get the defuse, but Penny was in a great spot to continue to cause problems. So far up on that 410 that he really didn't allow Sentinels to get to a place of comfort, and even with how back and forth that round went, you saw down at the very last minute, they were so weak. Right, the remaining members of Sentinels were so weak, and time was on their side as well. V1 looking good, they win the pistol, and now they're showing a different flavor already. The same bit of Viper utility from both Vipers, but this time they're pushing in towards B.
Yeah, and this is B such a great spot, especially just because there's less corners and ranges, like short ranges to deal with. It's mostly a long range. Most of the fights are more easily controlled. As the team who's playing against the eco, against the pistol, but yeah, if Sick or anybody can find some quick kills before the spike's down, there is definitely a chance. But Celsius is trying to bring the fight to the opponents here. Almost straight through, finding a gap, unable to find the shot he's looking for. Some damage is being done here before the spike's being planted, but at the same time, there's still not much to work with between Dapper and Shazam.
No, Shazam does have the Bulldog, and, well, he had it. He gets cleaned up. It's just Dapper alone. You mentioned he's got the Sheriff. He's going to get cleaned up as well. V1 take a 2-round lead. It was slow. It was steady, but they were confident in what they had. They knew what they wanted, and they really get what they're looking for on A.
Yeah, they didn't make the mistake to sort of like commit someone early to try to plant the spike, knowing that as soon as they try to plant that spike, that's when Sentinels would collapse, because they know that one player is for that period out of the fight, so they can even up the odds a little bit. But going into the gun rounds here, it's going to be interesting to see if V1 just do what they did on the pistol, because that is pretty effective. You can just make that work. We already talked about it before. You don't have to try to play the mid round and late round if you don't want to. You can just try to keep it simple. Flanking is very difficult, honestly, on this map, and as a defenders, and holding the site is pretty difficult as well. Sometimes you just have to give it and play retake. But with that said, with the mid play here from Sentinels, is going to offer flank possibilities.
Dapper did take some of that space away in the previous round as well, and this time it actually pays off as he cleans up Whippy across the middle of the map. As you said, Ten's got in on a little bit of love early on in the round as well to clean up Penny. So now now V1, I mean, they're entirely outnumbered, and that's the thing about this round 2, Dan, is oftentimes you see a team with the 2-0 lead in this round, you're okay with it not really going their way because they have Spectres and, it's a lighter gun situation. You don't expect them to be able to fight the same way back, but Effie's was the only one who didn't have a premier rifle in the Phantom or the Vandal. He had the Bulldog. It was clean the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's definitely scary to have someone like Tens to fight against when he's got that Vandal and he's playing that A side, because sometimes this can come down to a confidence thing on this map, especially because these kind of duels, it's like headshot pixel duels that you can find in all of these like angles across the site. It's really important to be able to create scenarios where the defenders are getting swung on by 2 players at once. Like you want to try to stack the odds in your favor there, because you can do it. You can do it with utility, especially. It's actually harder for the defenders to find some of the favorable fights that they want. So I hope that V1 are not too conditioned away from that A side. We'll see, though. They're definitely going to get some good feelings towards this B side. It's a great pick to start things off with, but still, 1 player on yellow, and it definitely does.
Run it back used. Celsius good for 2. Yeah, this certainly went well. You were mentioning hoping that they don't shy away from pushing towards A. Well, they made magic happen on B, and honestly, a lot of it was off the backs of Vanity getting that pick on A as well. I believe it was on to Tens with nothing but a Sheriff, right? Like, you sell that, you leave some of that demand in that area from the defending side, who has to invest that way, not knowing where the hit is. What can Shazam do? On the Jet in a 1v3, has the Blade Storm, doesn't have a ton of time. So you imagine this round will certainly go in favor of V1. Celsius comes up big for V1. 3 kills on the round for him as they take a 2-round lead.
And that's great. Definitely great for the the confidence game. Good to see them just going pretty hard on the B timing there, and you do want to mix it up a little bit, because you don't want to, like, if you do want to have most of your rounds end up being these A openings, you want to give enough of an argument to the defenders that they can't just for free take really forward position on B long. Now, a lot of teams will try to actually just like default a little bit at the early portion of the rounds to clear B long. You'll get the drone out there, you can peek with it, and it can clear a lot of position. But with that said, we have the push towards A, and TenZ again is going to hit. He is going to hit reliably some of these insane shots, and that's an early advantage, which now is compounded even more. Shazam connects too.
V1 not finding any success on the A site. You see Zoms is still playing back towards B, as Whippy's seemingly like waiting around to see if the flank is going to come through. But TenZ again, man, just continuing to light things up. Reyna, Icebox, TenZ, those three things, just such a devastating combination.
Sometimes, the positions TenZ takes and so on, and like what he's actually trying to do, I'm confused at which game he's playing, if he's playing Valorant or Aim Lab or what's happening. Because, look at him. He's just standing up there. He just wants to fight. He's completely exposed. He's completely exposed from multiple points of contact here. Yeah, sure, they're 5 versus 2, but he's been doing this in multiple rounds. He is so confident in playing some of these off angles that he can react if he gets caught from a spot that he's not expecting, like that, for example. But he's still going to be taking every fight he can, and he's on Reyna. That's what he's supposed to do, and he's designed for this. Nice couple of kills from Effys, but it will be ultimately the round in the bag for Sentinels, just off of the back of the powerhouses that are TenZ and Shazam locking down this site.
And that's just so smothering, because like you swing around and Opshot goes right by you and you think, okay, he's gonna have to take a step back. There should be a bit of room to breathe, right? In theoretically, there should be a window there, but no, then TenZ swings around with his Vandal to clean things up. V1 still have the lead, though. They're still in a decent spot rifle-wise. They've got the Bulldog here, and they're heavy stacking towards A. Same bit of Viper utility crossing around B. Do you push into TenZ again? Not going to have the Vandal this time around. Certainly not going to hurt the same way. Shazam's op is there.
Yeah, they're going to try to make sure that they can just start slowly forcing these players back using the utility. To do that, you can shut down some of these angles. It just takes a flash, a smoke, something. But Shazam still has a lot of area to peek from, and Sick is going to be able to control 410 as well. So Sentinels are getting a lot of fights here before any ground has been gained by Version1, and unfortunately, with that, they will get all these advantageous jewels, and this is not a good look for Version1. We want to see more from them in this sense. Whippy's found some ground here because of all the action towards A, but he doesn't have the spike. Now, Vanity does have the TP ultimate available. He can use From the Shadows to get his way to Whippy, but they spotted Whippy now. So now there's so many mind games, but also, Doug, there's 5 players for Sentinels. They don't have to move a muscle.
No, not at all. I mean, Dan, there are a lot of things that have to go right here
30 seconds left
for V1 to have a chance at this thing. But I love that, right? Use the Viper's Pit to draw that attention over from the remaining members of Sentinels. Just like, like Lambs to Slaughter, they pull their way over. As soon as that drops, it was beautifully played. But with 14 seconds left, they don't hear the spike go down. They start to rotate back, and now things are certain. They've gotten the spike down. Whippy's back in a decent spot to cut off any flank. But, Dan, we mentioned it. There are so many things that have to go right. That ult was certainly a good start, but that's certainly tipping things back the other way. Zom's going to stick the defuse. I don't even know if Vanity can... No, he's so trapped here. Zoms is just able to take the defuse out. It was pretty for a moment, right? Their ability to manipulate what Sentinels were doing looked real good, but that's as far as it got.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that Sentinels didn't leave at least one player on A, because you have 5 players. And the genius for Version1, though, is that they waited enough time that it suggested that, oh, hang on, the Omen that we saw on A, there's been enough time that he could have rotated. So with the Viper's Pit, they're like, okay, well, he must be on B then. But obviously, that wasn't the case. It was a fake out. So it's a really nice idea by Version1. They almost made it into something, but 3-3 is the score, and it feels like Sentinels really coming back. And again, this pronounced defense on the A side between Shazam and TenZ, just the power that they offer with the skill that they have. It feels very difficult for version 1 to deal with, and they're going back to B to avoid it.
Yeah, it's just not an option. Right? Dapper, this round, walling off the middle of the map and taking the space away. So at this point, like, with the lockdown that's happening on A, between both Tens and Shazam, there are just not very many options. You see that ult going to come out. They have to go towards B here. And Vanity's on the other side of the map. Sentinels are once again a step ahead.
Positioning here is such a problem for version 1. Oh, Shazam, he's able to just get so much vision on these peaks. He gets what he wants. He's going to drop down. Sick is there to lend him a hand, and that's the spike now down on the ground with no way to be recovered. Version 1, they got to take these open battles, and as they say that there's no way to recover it, maybe just with the gunfights, they'll be able to do something here. But again, still have to close the distance, and time is against them.
Blade Storm coming out from Shazam. Decent idea of where Vanity was. You saw that smoke come out. As you said, time certainly not on their side. They're going to have to get the spike down here pretty soon. But they're not going to be given that luxury. Shazam goes in aggressive. Penny punishes it, and Vanity's left... excuse me, Tens is left alone. Ten's good for one. No way, not again. 5 health, dismisses away. Looking for the second. No, Penny's jumping classic. Of all things, wins the 1v1 and gives V1 the lead again.
Oh my god, that was so close. Tens, man, I love that play. The dash with the right click just barely whiffs. It's so unfortunate for him, but the follow-up was almost good from Shazam. Or rather, sorry, Shazam on the jet. Just so used to seeing Tens on the jet, man. Gets so confusing. But it was a really, really good attempt. And version 1, again, it feels like Sentinels are more dangerous, but they're not getting the rounds so far. So, you got to credit version 1 for that. And they're going to go for what might be a much faster approach here towards this A site. Shazam's on that operator, and that's the problem. Tens, playing by pipes. We've seen how dangerous he is there as well. They have to flash off these angles, and they're doing so quite responsibly to get forward ground gained. And Dapper's going to go down in mid. That's a big problem too. That's the stage out of the picture. That's a res that cannot be used in this round now.
And there's the question of what's happening across the middle of the map, right? But Shazam getting the first shot with the op. You hear the Hunter's Fury comes out as Penny follows it into the back of the site, but Shazam continuing to cause problems. The Paranoia was there. It blinded him up, but he just narrowly got away. The spike has been planted. They're going to dash away. The only ult they have is Penny's Blade Storm. Zoms has the Viper's Pit as well. Shazam's op. Seen how good he can be. So while numbers advantage in favor of V1, they're certainly far being out of the woodworks. There's the Viper's Pit that we mentioned, and because of that, they kind of have to go aggressively here. Vanity's in a great spot as long as he's left undetected, as long as his position is not given away. He may be able to drop right on them, but the tap was there, and it baited him out. Vanity had to go in. He gets punished, and now they're going to try to tap for just a bit longer. Zoms on the swing. Zom gets cleaned up. That high-low stack is so difficult to deal with. Penny gets 3. V1 take the round. And like you've said, Dan, Sentinels feel more dangerous, but V1, the grit that they're showing in this half is very impressive.
And the way they're doing this is quite scary, and it's part of the reason why Sentinels have looked pretty dangerous on this A site. It's because some of these peaks from version 1 are drier than the Sahara Desert. It's just like these drying peaks into Tens, into Shazam with the operator. It's like they have flashes, but they're not choosing to use them in some of these fights. And hey, it is working out for them in some of these rounds, like that last one. So we'll see if they can keep that going. I mean, they have still a buy to play against. Sick, pulling out Hunter's Fury. Not able to get the connections he was after. Evius is low, though. You can see the setup from Sentinels right now is a big lean towards B. Playing the retake game on the A side. They've got Tens here. 1-4-10, looking to hold it down by himself. This is, it's Reynos, the agent to do it with, but he's going to get paranoid, and that's going to be good for the kill. Beautiful work there from version 1.
I mean, gorgeous paranoia out of Vanity there. To clean things up, to give them entry onto the site, and for them to be able to follow up like that. Penny's already good for 2. Now, there are 2 rifles that remain on the side of Sentinels, but, I mean, they are... Dan, it's going to be so difficult to get into this thing, but Zoms in the 1v3. Effie's is weak. So is Zoms.
6-3, version 1. They're really starting to run away with this one now, and I'm looking to see if there can be much adaptation from Sentinels. Again, the issue on the defensive side here is that you've got really long rotations on this map, and it can be pretty difficult to sometimes know like whether you should play the retake game or whether you should try to stand your ground on this A side. And sometimes standing their ground has worked, but sometimes, not so much. Obviously, we saw a nice Paranoia opening, and it was only 10s on the site in the first place. Right. So we'll see if, we'll get any kind of a mix-up here. And they're just, like, holding these open battles. Oh, I love it. They're just holding those long ranges with the Sheriffs. Got to respect it. And out come the knives from Shazam. So there's a lot of danger in this round still left for version 1 to deal with.
That's certainly a step in the right direction. The Marshal's offline. Tens is offline as well. Vanity's going to ult all the way across. Dapper's in a really good spot to play spoiler here, and I don't know if they... Okay, now his position's been given away. Talking about position being given away, Whippy's in a great spot. Good for one. Gets traded out. The res is going to come up as well, and Sentinel's got a clear advantage here. Now, Zelsis has the ult. Gets cleaned up. My gosh, Dan, they've done this with scraps.
Ooh, it's going to be a tough one. Zelsis going to have to win one of these fights. The knives are sent flying. Looking to give Zelsis a haircut. We've got Zombs there also waiting. They've got to go forward and get the spike. And ooh, wow. Down on the ground again. Just Zelsis now against 4 players. Going to have to hit some pretty insane shots. But Dapper is ready for it on the back with the frag. That's a thrifty secured. And that is the kind of energy. That's the kind of round that Sentinels really needs to win to start to turn this one in their favor. Because it has seemed like version 1 are getting everything they want with these fights.
Yep. You could feel the tide beginning to shift in V1's favor, and Sentinels just kind of stuff it to do so on thrifty fashion. Like that's very difficult to reckon with, being on the receiving end of it, but V1 still have a 2-round lead. They've got decent rifles. Penny's going to bring the Bladestorm into this round. No op in the hands of Shazam this time.
Penny is fearsome. The Bladestorm ready to go. There's the dash. Ooh, the toxic screen is going to deny him the vision. He's going to try to updraft over the top, though. There come the knives. Not going to land. It's instead Tens and Shazam and Sick. All 3 of them defending so well. Doesn't seem like there's much quarter given at this point, but the 4-10 position will be won by Effies. He's still holding on to it, but not for too much longer. Sentinels shut it down, and they didn't even get towards a spike plant. And that's definitely looking far more confident now from Sentinels. They're looking for that 6-6.
Dude, Tens and Shazam, like the heroics that they've pulled off on this site alone, right? And if sometimes it's the op in the hands of Shazam, sometimes it's not, but they seem to be able to pull these things out of their hats by themselves. To stuff V1 and the advances that they've had has just been really impressive. Now V1, they still have decent weaponry here, right? Like, they're bringing 3 rifles into this thing. They also have the Viper's Pit from Whippy, and they're walking right back into the same place. And Dapper has an op this time around, along with Shazam.
Oh, that's frustrating. Yeah, the double operator is done.
Oh, wow, that hurts.
He alive, though.
All right, now this is a different look. We have not seen version 1 try to exploit the middle of the map, and Sick just on the other side of the smoke. Doesn't hear him go by, but Zom's waiting for it. Oh, no. He's going to see him, going to get a good chance, but no, Zom's backs off, has to respect the pressure coming in, and Sick good for 1. As he's cheating up behind him. They're sitting ducks in kitchen. Vanity's able to push his way through Sick, get the kill he needed, and give them a bit more room to breathe. Zelsis getting 1 as well. Shazam's up, good for it. 3v2 in favor of Sentinels. Looking for a bit more, trying to blind fire through the smoke, just narrowly missing. A beautiful headshot again. Looking forward with the op. The op, it does indeed connect. And the Sheriff have the same magic. Vanity, Shazam wins it out of 3K with the Sheriff. 6-6 at half.
Switching sides.
All right, we've got a game on our hands here. Sentinels doing a great job, and turning the tide. It definitely was looking fairly grim. It didn't seem like much was working out after what seemed like an explosive start. Where we saw these clips, right? You see 10 standing large and in charge on top of the site, looking for all the frags. And then the story changed pretty quickly after that as Version1 started to find a lot of success towards B. They started to play their rounds a little bit more slowly. And then suddenly, you know, Sentinels were unable to really post the defenses on this A side as well. So it was just an interesting series of looks on the defense, but ultimately the stabilization did occur, and now Sentinels are going to be on the attack. And I'm really interested to see if Version1 are going to be able to lock down this A side like Sentinels were able to. Oh, going for that ultimate or straight away.
Have a great crossfire setup to follow the drone in. Bam and Tens both already messing up a couple members of V1 on the side as Tens aggressively looking for more. Reyna and a pistol can be so difficult to deal with, but Effie's answers the call, at least enough for now. As Whippy's alone, he's got a classic, but that, my gosh, that's a difficult fight to win.
It certainly is, and well, Version1 is gonna have to be the hard way. I guess actually you're playing a finals against Sentinels. It's already the hard way, but you know what I mean. It's going to be a Marshall picked up by Vanity, you know, hodgepodge by. They're going to be saving enough in the tank so they can get rifles next round, of course. And, you know, Sheriff is going to be the accompaniment from Whippy to Vanity's Marshall. Other than that, it's a pretty weak buy. Pretty weak in terms of firepower. The drone will come through from Sentinels here to clear out some of these B-long positions. Always good to do that. This is like a really great value from the drone.
And talk about doing things the hard way. Pushing across the middle of the map right into Tens. With the gun advantage, they're going to pick up the spike. Work their way towards B, where Sick is taking a ton of space. Now Whippy, now wise to it. He's going to push some of that back. The wall's gone up. I presume they should be able to get the spike down here. Zoms does just that. Oh man, that just went from bad to worse real fast. Vanity is the last one that remains with 34 health and a Marshall. He took care of Sick there, but Shazam trades him out, a 3K on the round for him. And Sentinels, like, they played that so well. They waited patiently to see if there was any aggression from V1, and then they struck where they wanted.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that we saw them do really well on the other maps too. Just they know how to play those anti-ecos. It takes a lot of experience and discipline to do it correctly, to try to give as little as possible to the opponents. It's harder than it sounds at this level, I have to say. And we're going to see that Version1 on this rifle buy against a lot of the Spectres that are remaining for Sentinels. They're going to be holding onto A. They're going to fight for A here. They're not going to try to play retake. They're playing in forward position. Celsius up on the pipes. Vanity there through the smoke, looking for two, but he's only going to get one, playing into the Spectres. This is scary. Ten's got that high position, but he's going to get taken down. Celsius had the counter. Oh, well, there's another counter. The one-upmanship from Shazam. It's looking good.
Looking good again. It's been done with Spectres and a Blade Storm, right? And the V1 like pushed into that. They wanted to fight for that. They walk away certainly worse for wear. Just 2 members remaining for both teams with 1 minute left on the clock. Six in a great spot here, and Shazam has some options with as much time as they have. You could make a compelling case for flipping it, but here they decide to stick into it again with how far up Sick was. They've got room to breathe. They have a decent idea of where Whippy is. Shazam pushing Whippy back. Six in a great spot. Has to be patient. The snake bite comes out. Not going to tag up anyone, and now you see Sick backing off. Does have a couple of shock darts.
1 enemy remaining.
Oh, but why need a shock dart when you've got a Phantom and Shazam? Looked like Whippy was going to walk right into his crosshair, but Whippy taking the high ground, looking to go aggressive. He may be able to get behind him. Oh, no. No, Whippy good for it. 8 health, 6 bullets. The 1v1 goes in favor of Shazam. A 4K. Sentinels take a 3-round lead.
That almost got pretty weird. Shazam, so he was just sitting right there in that spot. It's a great position, and what a great entry as well from him with the nice. Doesn't get the full up, but with the nice, but you know, he keeps it alive with the Spectre, and it's definitely going to be difficult now for version 1. You know, there's going to be a lot of room to play with for Sentinels. Their economy's going to be growing. You know, Shazam, he's feeling it, and that's always good when, you know, your Jet player is feeling it. 3 Marshals, let's go. I love this from version 1. It's the Marshal meta. You better believe. I believe. Look at that. How scary.
3 Marshals still online. Zelsis has 1. This position's been given away as well, and uptight like this. What have you got in you? Fortunately, the Paranoia and the Viper Wall pushes him back. They're going to rotate around, and Shazam has made his way all the way into A. There's nobody around. He's going to clear every single corner methodically to make sure that it's safe, and Sentinels are going to be granted free passage, safe passage, onto A.
Well, it's like the time in the Marshals is very brief. It might already be an age that's, you know, remember in the history books, but, you know, there's not much that they can do with Marshals in a situation like this, all these close ranges and corners to work against, and you can see they're getting picked off. It's interesting because for version 1, when they see that B long is suddenly clear after seeing the action there, it does make a lot of sense to not rotate, because there is a world where Sentinels try to bait the rotation and go back to B, and the rotation is so bad for you as version 1 that it's actually a good gamble to take. And it's a nice finish from Zoms for the flawless. And version 1, they're getting close to getting second place. You know, Sentinels have been dominant across map 1 and map 2. There's been a lot of close rounds, but we described it as them having the extra gear that version 1 so far have yet to find. And if they're going to find it, it's got to be now here, because Sentinels are 3 rounds away from taking this in the 3-map sweep.
Zelsis opting to use the run it back in that situation, as it looks like we're in a bit of a pause, have teams work things out, talk through things as V1 again start to feel the pressure of what's before them, of what's in front of them. Sentinels just, I mean, really a couple of brush strokes away from a masterpiece in the grand finals, potentially a 3-0 sweep. And for V1, as much as Sentinels have been able to establish that additional gear, V1 have kind of lacked in some regard. So I think it's really a tale of both tapes here, a tale of 2 tapes as these 2 teams match up. And even, Dan, you can look at it a bit more. Zelsis, again, using that run it back in that previous round in a 2v5 with the pistol. Now he doesn't have it going into this round. 5 seconds left. Oh, it's a gamble, and it's a great guess, Dan. Look at that. Everyone is on A.
Scanning ahead.
This is going to be a bloodbath on this A site. We've got Sentinels looking to just bulldoze, and once again, they know the shenanigans from Vanity, but the timing's not good. Vanity with the timing, with the frags, it's going to be Sentinels now reeling in pain from that one. They may have to try to back away, but version 1 are not going to give them any ground to do so, finishing them off, giving them no option but to fight, and there is no fight left. Dapper's going to go down, and that's what you want to see from version 1. You know,
not just what you want to see, Dan, what you need to see in that moment, right? Like, take the pause, get a plan together, and just gamble, right? When you're down 2-0 in a series like this, when you're down 4 rounds, when you're looking at defeat, you've got to roll the die, and fortunately, it lands on exactly what they needed. They dial that up, and they pick them apart. And you mentioned even understanding Vanity's shenanigans through smokes. He was able to get exactly what he wanted anyway.
He found the timing, and well, Sentinels, they're going to be in an interesting position here. This is the 3-player setup towards B long. Version 1 are investing heavily here, thinking that maybe Sentinels will switch things up for a fast timing towards that B site. And the drone's going to see nothing. I think it just killed 1 player, but look at the wrap coming through from Sentinels! They're going to swing straight through mid into the B site, and just as they got dominated in that previous round, but Penny's coming back into it. There's 1 left to go. It's sick, and Penny has 4 bullets to play this one. And they are going to encircle this position around B long, and Penny is looking for the timing, but Penny knows that it's up to Sick to get the spike and plant it. So that's some extra information. There goes the timing. The recon is going to tag Penny. That gives him the time to get the reload in. And there comes the swing.
Space. The peak was there. Sick backs off. Penny hunting, looking for him. He has to try to get this gunfight. Get the defuse. Penny spots it. Penny gets it. A 4K, and he gets the defuse. Version1 refused to go away.
Oh my god, Sentinels hitting the timing, hitting the pace through mid. It was one of the best moves they could have made. There's a 3-player setup from Version1 on B long. Mid was 3, and my god, did they capitalize. The Sentinels capitalized on that one, but this guy is pretty damn good. Penny, joining the team. This guy he's been impressing me so much on Version1, and hey man, winning clutches like that, that's going to bring the energy to Version1 that they need to give them a strong chance, a puncher's chance to topple Sentinels here on Icebox.
And they've got 3 ultimates. They also have an operator in the hands of Vanity. All Sentinels look to test the waters towards B. You see that Viper wall. Really just kind of denying any sort of safe entry. Like you said, there's no way to know. And you have to invest that drone. You have to invest that utility because there's no way to know if someone's waiting on the other side of the wall. Malzelsis has taken all of A. They understand that it's safe. Right behind him. Drops a couple of bullets into the back of Tenz's head. They've taken mid control. They know that A is safe. And they've got Sentinels on the back foot. But can Sentinels punch their way out of this?
Yeah, this is a really tough spot. And Spike is B long, so they're going to try to back away, and the push comes through. Version1 don't want to let them rotate out. They're going to push the issue. They're going to force the fights, and they're going to take every frag so far, push all the way back into spawn. But this might be the haven that's needed for Sentinels. They're able to hold that position for the time being, and this is going to reset things.
Dan, where do you go? Right, like, where do you go? Again, look at where V1 is set up. There's no place that's safe. The middle of the map's not an option, as we just see. And you know that B wasn't an option as well because of the op in the hands of Vanity. And yeah, he wasn't able to land the shot, but at this point, his position's been given away. Zom's is a sitting duck.
There is Penny who traded out, and that's going to be another round in the back for Version1. Again, keeping the pace up high really is showing the confidence, and that's so good to see. I mean, we've all been there. You go through these games, these rounds where you feel like you can't win any of these fights, and it starts to diminish your confidence. You start to become risk averse, and the opposite thing is happening here for Version1. Instead of becoming risk averse, they're taking risks, but they're taking calculated risks. They're remaining confident. They're hitting their shots, and now Sentinels are in a position where it feels like they're really behind. They're still in the lead by a round, of course, but Version1, they're coming back into this one, that is for sure.
Oh, momentum heavily their way, and Zelsis looking for the knockout punch. Aggressive push his way through. Snaps onto Tenz. He was a sit and duck. He's going to try to use the run back to get away, but no, now they're going to know where he is. He gets cleaned up right off the bat. A 4v4. No operator in the hands of Vanity this time.
Ooh, yeah, that's a interesting run it back coming through there from Celsius. 4v4 as the site gets taken. Vanity can't escape. Oh, Shazam runs out of bullets there. That's going to help Version1 ever so slightly, but the spike's going to get planted now. It's going to be down to Effie's, but they're all going to go down very quickly. Sentinels striking back. It was a good opening. We saw this opening from Zelsis, and I almost feel like there was an opportunity for more there from Zelsis, but he wanted to get out of there.
This game really being played on a knife's edge. Again, Version1 refusing to go away. Giving a bit more space defensively. The op back in the hands of Vanity. And look at the investment that they're willing to make. At what cost? Right? Like, look at how much they're willing to give up. A Spectre, a pistol. He's going to have the Blade Storm as well. But see that Viper's Pit early on coming out from Whippy. And Dan, it looks like Sentinels, they're just going to want to push into this thing. Zelsis. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
He didn't look. He didn't look.
That's painful. Now, the question is, will they go into the operator because of this? This Viper's Pit on A is a strong argument to go to B, and that's exactly what's happening. Vanity, he's got to make the difference. It's one whiff from him. He's able to get out of there, though. But unfortunately, for V1, they've really needed a kill here. They're down a player still, and they're going to be playing retake on this B site. Right now, Sentinels know they have the timing advantage to get a spike plant and a post plant position. And the Viper's Pit comes through as well. This is scary.
Vanity has to stay alive, Dan. He has to buy time and wait for his teammates to show up because Effie's isn't there. But it's actually the classic. He waits just enough to get the kill onto Sick. Now they're able to push together from a position of strike. Penny's Blade Storm good for one. Zom's still waiting in his smoke, patiently seeing who he can find as you hear the Empress comes online as well. Zom's good for one. patience. Look at the patience, but no. With 1 health left, he catches the timing just right on Dazam. The Viper Bit's gonna come down. Benny good for another one as well. Looking for 3. No, Shazam trades it out. Whippy trying to get to the defuse. He's got the op. Shazam in a 1v1, and Whippy does it again.
But there's no time.
Dad.
Oh God, Whippy. That's so devastating. It was so close. And he whipped the operator shot as Shazam swung, and the dash came through, forcing Whippy into that forward off angle with the classic, and just barely not enough time. And the efforts from Penny time and again are coming in to bail out Version1 in these awful positions. And he almost did it again there. Penny is so damn good. And here it is. Version1 backs against the wall. They lose this round. Sentinels are going to take this in a clean 3-0 sweep in this grand finals. Another trophy added to the cabinet. Can Version1 stop him?
No. Not so far. Whippy gets a lot more than he bargained for as he gets cleaned up. And Dan, like, they don't have great weapons, right? Like, Effie's on a Sheriff as well. It almost seems like a foregone conclusion at this point, and that certainly helps. Celsius is off the board. Tens looking to put V1 away. He gets a kill. 2 ultimates in their pockets. A 5v3. V1 in a brutal spot here. The shock dart comes out as well. Oh no, just 2 members remaining. Pennity's gonna get cleaned up as well. It's just Effie's with the Sheriff. No less good for 1, but no, he gets cleaned up. Ladies and gentlemen, from top to bottom, Sentinels dominate V1, and they are your Challenger Stage 2 champions.